She wrote that there was absolutely no cure for stupidity, which was as accurate in the 9th century as it is today. I'm the Classical Nerd, and today we're talking about Saint Kassiani. Kassiani was born in the early 9th century, in the city of Constantinople, into a wealthy family that made sure that she was well educated. Due to how ancient all this is, it's hard to pinpoint exact facts about her life, but similar stories show up in various accounts. One such story features the heir to the Byzantine Empire, Theophilos, having fallen head over heels in love with Kassiani, but she had little time for his nonsense. He offered her a golden apple and immediately made a reference to Eve by saying that women were the origins of the worst things in the world. Kassiani threw the Virgin Mary back in his face. Well, I mean, not literally, but, you know. He ended up marrying someone significantly less sassy. By the mid-9th century, Kassiani had founded herself a convent. Like Hildegard much later, convents were one of the only, if not the only, way for women to actually achieve a measure of power. Certain scholars have looked at this as representative of her bitterness over not marrying Theophilos to become the empress. But Kassiani had much wider motives. Monasteries, and her monastery in particular, were centers of learning, and through her work as an abbess, she made sure that her hymns were actually preserved. But more about her music in a minute. Theophilos was now the emperor, and he was not a fan of the Orthodox tradition of venerating icons. On one occasion, he even had Kassiani whipped for her trouble. She also did as much as she could to help out friends and colleagues who were imprisoned for their iconography. This view had had its day in the Byzantine Empire, but at that point, it was pretty much just restricted to Theophilus, and after he died, subsequent emperors weren't nearly as strict about this iconography. During her time as an abbess, Kassiani wrote many hymns, writing the words and then setting them to music. Due to her diligence in making sure that they were put in a position to survive, about 50 of them actually do. Of them, about half are still used within the Orthodox Church. Much medieval music really starts with her. Due to her aforementioned diligence, she is a starting point for many medieval musicologists. Still, it's very hard, if not outright impossible, to actually figure out how many of her hymns are actually by her, since different collections and manuscripts attribute different hymns to wildly different authors. I mean, it's not like they had copyright in those days. And by contrast, her secular music didn't fare nearly as well with the passage of time. Her most famous and still performed work is the Hymn of Kassiani, traditionally sung within the Orthodox Church on the Wednesday before Easter. It is the setting of an unnamed biblical woman who anoints the feet of Jesus Christ. It requires the singer to possess an immense vocal range, and performances of the piece are as much about the ability of the cantor to properly deliver the text as it is about the music. It's also known as the Hymn to the Fallen Woman, after the description of the woman as found in the Gospel of Luke. And to this day, local prostitutes are known to go to church just to hear it. Kassiani is one of 2 Byzantine women who wrote under their own name, and one of 4 women whose works are now in the Orthodox liturgy. Even the church fathers of her day gave her kudos. Separate from her music, she also wrote many collections of what is called gnomic verse, little proverb-like sayings that, in her hands, were used as biting social commentary and criticism. Basically, medieval tweets. In later life, Kassiani traveled quite a bit, first to Italy and then to a Grecian island, where she died at the tail end of the 9th century, having lived somewhere between 57 and 85 years. She's now venerated as a saint within Eastern Orthodoxy, with a feast day of September 7th, and it's testament to the power and beauty of her music that it's so venerated over a millennia later.